Right now I'm in Burbank, California, outside of Warner Brothers Studios, because today we're talking about something that was filmed on this lot on Hennessy Street back in 1984. But it's not a movie and it's not a TV show, it's actually a Pepsi commercial. A very famous Pepsi commercial starring Michael Jackson. No, not that one. I'm sure most of you automatically thought of that infamous Pepsi commercial that caused Michael Jackson to catch on fire. But there's another famous Pepsi commercial starring Michael Jackson, his 5 brothers, and a very young Alfonso Ribeiro, before Dancing with the Stars, before AFV, before Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and even before Silver Spoons. It was right around the same time as Silver Spoons. But yeah, today we're gonna be talking about that commercial. We're gonna go inside, I'm gonna show you where it was filmed. So, let's go see what we can find. So right here behind me, actually right on the other side of this wall, is Hennessy Street. And we're gonna head in there in a minute and I'm gonna show you where they filmed that commercial. But something that I want you to keep in mind is it's been almost 40 years and things are constantly changing on backlots. They're always changing the buildings to fit whatever the production is that they're filming. So one area of a backlot might look completely different than what it did like maybe 2 weeks before that. So I know not every building is gonna match up with what we see in the commercial, but there's at least a couple of buildings that still look the same, and I'm excited to show them to you. So let's head inside. Okay, so starting with the very first shot of the commercial, this is all the way down at the end of Hennessy Street, and that van would have been parked right here against the curb, and this building is the one that had the white and green striped awnings on it. Now they have changed the front of the building. It doesn't quite look the same anymore, and it no longer has those white and green striped awnings, but funny enough, the building right next door does currently have a white and green striped awning. Not the same one, but similar. Now this is more of the shot that you get, but it was a crane shot, so you don't have these trees in the way. So Michael and his brothers are hanging out inside of a pizza parlor. Now this one's a bit tricky because they don't show a lot of the building. They're pretty tight shots, but I'm pretty sure that it was this one right here. Now the facade has changed a bit. It's not quite the same, but it's pretty similar, and I'm almost positive this is the one they used. So they're watching out the window and they notice some kids dancing in the street and on top of cars. And this would have been on the opposite end of Hennessy Street. The car that kid is standing on top of would have been parked right here against the curb. And as you can see, these buildings look almost exactly like they did back in 1984. This one on the left side didn't have the fire escapes at the time, but the one on the right side looks almost completely untouched. The fire escapes, the brickwork, everything on this building still matches up. So all the Jacksons come out of the pizza parlor, and for some reason they get a real kick out of watching all the kids drink Pepsi, and so they're standing in front of the pizza place, and notice this right behind his head? Now again, the front of the building has changed, but they would have been standing right here in front of this window, and I'm pretty sure that this right here is the section of molding that you see behind his head. It's a bit different, but it's really similar. So they're all hanging out in front of the pizza place, and that's when we get our first shot of Alfonso. He comes out of an alley and he's now dancing down the sidewalk dressed like Michael Jackson. He would have been coming down this section of sidewalk right here. And this is the little alley that he comes out of. So he's dancing down the sidewalk and he then crosses the street, and these are the 2 buildings that you see behind him as he's crossing the street. So he's now walking down the middle of the street. The Jacksons are coming from the opposite way. He then starts moonwalking down the middle of the street while drinking a Pepsi. I mean, that's pretty talented. You got to give it to him for that. He then bumps right into Michael Jackson, even though Michael Jackson wasn't there a second ago, but now he is. And this is the building that you see right behind Michael Jackson. So it was right here, pretty much right in the center of Hennessy Street, where Alfonso and Michael bump into each other, and then everybody starts dancing together. And there's actually a way to tell exactly where they're standing. If you look behind the Jacksons, you can see some stairs leading to a basement apartment, and that was this right here. So they were all standing right here, just to the left of those stairs leading to the basement apartment. So now everybody starts dancing together, and behind them you can see that building down at the end of Hennessy Street. Now Alfonso's having such a good time dancing, he doesn't even realize that the Jacksons have walked away. He notices them leaving, and he waves goodbye, and behind the Jacksons you can see that same building with the white and green striped awnings. Alfonso does a spin and then up on his tippy toes just like Michael Jackson, and that's when we get that famous tagline, Pepsi, the choice of a new generation. And once again, behind Alfonso, you see that building with the white and green striped awnings. Now, one thing that you might have noticed about these commercials is that you barely see Michael Jackson's face. And that's because even though Pepsi paid him $5 million to appear in the commercials, one of his stipulations is that his face would only appear for 4 seconds. At other times, it would be his dancing feet or his gloved hand. And of course, there was a second Pepsi commercial featuring the Jacksons, and this was the one that nearly killed Michael when he caught on fire while dancing down the stairs. Did you know that Michael Jackson didn't even want to do these Pepsi commercials? And supposedly, he didn't even drink soda. But he got so much pressure from his brothers and from his dad that he finally just gave in and did the commercials. And he had said somewhere that he did it for the kids. I think it had more to do with the pressure from his family. But hey, that's just my opinion. What do I know? Now, it's been said that those commercials featuring the Jacksons had a huge impact on the war between Pepsi and Coke. And this commercial in particular was solely responsible for Pepsi outselling Coke during the Cola Wars. I mean, Michael Jackson was only the biggest star in the entire universe at that time. However, Coke did have Max Headroom and the Polar Bears and Santa Claus, but Pepsi had Michael Jackson, and he was #1. So there it is. The locations for the 1984 Michael Jackson Pepsi commercial have been found and revealed. Now, when I first found these locations, I thought I was the only one that knew about this. I thought I had figured out some holy grail for Michael Jackson fans, but since then I've heard a few other people talk about it. I don't know if anyone else has made a video or actually shown the locations, but I know I'm not the only one that knew about it. But I'm just really glad that I was able to share these locations with you, because it really is an iconic commercial from the 80s, but it's not the only iconic thing that they filmed on Hennessy Street. They did Annie. I recently showed that they shot I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, Vacation, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I mean, the list goes on. And if you want to see these locations for yourself, you can take the studio tour, but keep in mind that they don't always show you Hennessy Street. It depends on what they're filming in that area. I'd say probably about half the time that I've taken the studio tour, they've gone down Hennessy Street. So it is a little bit of a gamble. All right, that is gonna do it for this video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.